How goes it all? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully you guys are having a great and exceptional day. Happy Friday. It's all good in the neighborhood. The weekend is here. And, even though I work every day. But at the end of the day, it's always just nice to, have the extra 2 days away from work and all that good stuff. All right. So it's Black History Month. It's time for me to do my Black History rants. And, let's get into it. First and foremost, remember, there's anything goes here. We love everybody. There's no hate. There's no time to hate because hating and negativity just takes away too much time and energy, and it's unnecessary. I mean, my mother, she's got a very big heart, much bigger than mine, and she's very forgiving and whatnot. And me, I just keep it moving. I don't have time to hate anybody. If I don't particularly care for your presence, then I just move on with my life. There's no point of getting in unreasonable arguments. Like I said yesterday, on one of my videos. I don't want to argue about anything unless it has to do with my health, my wealth, and life. Like the life is on. It's like if it's a life-threatening decision, then yeah, let's have an argument about that. If there's a decision in regards to business and investments, yeah, let's have an argument about that. I'm not going to argue. If there's something to do with my health and whatnot, yeah, let's have an argument about that. But outside of that, I'm not going to argue about politics. I'm not going to argue about sports. I'm not even going to argue about Black History Month. I give my perspective, and I'm leaving it at that. Let me know your perspective in the comment section. All right. Now, here we talk economics. So, much respect to previous generations, from your Rosa Parks to your Ida Welby Wells, your Malcolm X's, Martin Luther King's, Marcus Garvey's, et cetera, and so forth. People that are still here, people that are gone. Much love and respect. But the majority of the time during Black History Month, it's always talking about the Civil Rights era. It's not to say that it's not an important time. And then it talks about a lot of your first, Black presidents, your first senator, your first doctor, very important stuff. But enough times we're not talking about the things that I find to be just as important, and not even more so important, economics. I put a post on social media today saying who you bank with and who you do business with holds way more power than who you vote for. I agree with that. If you're going to vote for somebody, cool. If you don't want to vote, cool. Don't care. Doesn't affect me at the end of the day. A bullet's not going in my brain if you vote for a Democrat or Republican. A bullet's not going in my brain if you say, I don't care, I'm staying at home, and I'm seeing what's going on Instagram. Do what you do. It's your life. Do what you do. Life's too short, all right? But anyways, so the banking aspects of it all. First, before I get to the banking aspects, I want to talk about business aspects of, you see the moves that are being made by Byron Allen, even though most of the networks he owns I don't watch. Robert, I got the man's name, I'm looking up in a second. I was going to say Robert Wilson, but one gentleman who, this is before the pandemic, he actually paid off the tuition of Morehouse graduates. I think it was in 2019. He's a big-time entrepreneur. Paid off Morehouse. Yeah, there it is. I always forget the gentleman's name because he's basically Robert F. Smith. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I got his name right. Because he basically pledged 34. It was back in September 2019, 34 million to settle the loan debt for nearly 400 students who graduated from the Spring Morehouse College graduation. Basically, let me get his background. Because like I said, we always talk about civil rights, but we don't talk about people who are still here. One thing I heard today is we don't hear enough about, what's happening today and what's going to happen tomorrow and whatnot, and things of that nature. And, because there's so many distractions out in this world that we're not paying attention enough to what really matters in today's world. The economics of it all, the future, national non-fungible tokens, NFTs, people owning digital real estate, people owning physical real estate, people getting access to capital. To me, that's the silver rights movement is the most important thing out of it all. You know what I mean? That's the people, when they talk to elected officials, a lot of times there's a conversation talking about, hey, so if I vote for you, what do I get in return outside of a beautiful speech? And they're like, well, we're going to ensure that you have good schools and, safer communities. And then the gentleman or lady is like, well, I own a business, so I need access to capital. And then the politician says, hey, Well, we're going to ensure that we get X amount of dollars via the Small Business Administration, or we're going to work as partners with certain banking and financial institutions to ensure that businesses like yourself can get access to capital so that you can not only maintain, but so that you can prosper and things of that nature. And another person's like, wait, I want to be able to buy a home. Is there any specific programs out there that I actually can buy a home as a first time home owner and whatnot? Or, you know, how do I get in contact with a financial professional to ensure that my will and everything is in order? I like to call it grown people's conversations. And if you're not, when you're having a conversation with somebody and they don't, you're offering something, but they're not ever offering you anything back. When the conversation revolves around business, then it's not really business. It's just you doing a favor for somebody, and you go from there. All right. But anyways, Robert F. Smith is an American businessman, philanthropist, chemical engineer, and investor. He's the founder, chairman, and CEO of private equity from Vista Equity Partners and whatnot. It's basically just a venture capitalist in a sense. Does a lot of great things. I believe he's based out of Texas or Colorado right now. Real good guy. I think he's from Colorado, but he lives in Texas right now. But I didn't hear about him until what he did in Morehouse. But you know me, I like to focus on the economics of it all. So I think it's nice to talk about our the people that are making moves from an economic standpoint. The Dr. Boyce Watkins, Jason Blacks, people that own businesses, Jay Morrison, people that are helping other people fund their own businesses, fund their dreams and things of that nature. These things matter. And anybody, it's like EY University, Fatherhood University, because these things matter. Because, like I said, who you do business with, who you spend your money with, who you bank with, holds way more power than who you vote for. Because the one beautiful thing about the United States of America and what makes of America such a great place, I remember having a conversation. I've said this before. Well, a gentleman when I used to go to 7-Eleven a lot, him and his family owned up to 10 to 15 7-Elevens throughout the United States of America. Okay, and he says it's very simple. They look at the family is more than just a last name. A family is, in a sense, that's why they work out so well in America, because family in a sense is like a big corporation. If your last name is Martinez, or your last name is Martin, or your last name is Jameson, or whatever have you, Jackson, Patel, Ling, whatever the case may be. Your last name is supposed to basically be treated in a sense like an LLC slash S corp and things of that nature, meaning that there's business moves being made. In a sense, your family reunions should equal family meetings, family boardrooms, and things of that nature. So, anyways, it's very big in the culture of a lot of people that migrate to the United States to when they set up a business and they bring more family members over to live in a house, and then they able to buy extra house, and because they're utilizing other people's names and whatnot, other people's social security numbers and whatnot, other people's credit, then they're able to buy more businesses, whether it's hotels, whether it's 7-Elevens, whether it's a parking lot, whether it's just a restaurant, whatever have you. Think of any business, chain business out there where the blueprint is already there. You just got to be able to have the will, the know-how, and be able to take the training and be able to go from there. I wish that I grew up in that kind of sense of family and whatnot, because a lot of members of my family is always talking about sad stuff that happened 20, 30 years ago. And there's never any progression in regards to, hey, this is what we're going to do from an economic collective capability and whatnot. So that, to me, that should be what family should be about. Not just talking about good times, not just having family reunions, not just dwelling on the bad stuff and the negativity in the past and whatnot, but we should be operating like a corporation and making corporate moves. But anyways, back to African Americans. So talked about other people from a business aspect. Now talking about banking, I have an account with One United Bank. It's the biggest black-owned bank within the United States. I know Greenwood is new and they're catching up and things of that nature. But I definitely wanted to highlight an article that I actually saw today. And I was like, let me talk about this. So, anyways, I'm going to read this verbatim. So, because this is talking about why banking matters. I talked about business, talked about business owners. Now I'm going to talk about banking and whatnot. All right. Now, before the Civil War, there were discussions about starting black-owned banks to create more economic opportunity for the free black Americans and stand as powerful symbols in the fight against slavery even before the Civil War. Given the oppressive environment, because you had free slaves before the Civil War, given the oppressive environment, these earliest visions could not be realized at that time. Still we rise. After the Civil War, black Americans were shut out American banks and even the Civil War. Instead, the credit used by the black community to establish businesses and help families was provided through non-traditional channels such as wealthy individuals or cooperatives with limited success. Still we rise. And that's the one beautiful thing about the African American community back then. You had more of a economic because out of they had no choice. They had more of an economic mindset of, hey, the family unit has to move as a family unit. We might have our grievances and whatever, but we're going to buy land together. We're going to buy houses together. We're going to buy businesses together. One person's success should be not only just that one person's success, but it should be the family's success and whatnot. Like I said, even back during this time frame, before the Civil War, during the Civil War, and after the Civil War, the one thing I can respect about African Americans back then, because I had basically no other choice, the collectivism of the family, whatnot, regardless of what your last name was, there was money moves being made, and people were operating like corporations, even though they weren't quote unquote considered to be considered to be a legal corporation registered with the state, but they operated as corporations and made corporate moves because they had no choice. And I got a lot of love and respect for those corporations that did that, and wasn't always just coming up with excuses why things couldn't be done. They found a reason why something could be done. Anyways, in 1865, a bank was established to serve Black Americans, known as the Freedom Savings Bank, which opened 37 branches over 17 states and had 67,000 depositors. And this is in the 1800s, family. It came under the control of financiers who used the bank's resources to fund speculative investments, losing the life savings of thousands of black depositors, unfortunately, but it still kept going. Between 1888 and 1934, 134 black-owned banks were formed to help black community overcome challenges and serve as an important source of credit while also providing training and jobs. In 1906, the Greenwood District of Tulsa, Oklahoma, also known as Black Wall Street, had the Black Bank and was one of the most prosperous black communities in America. Obviously, everybody knows the story when it was burned down or whatnot. But it was, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm talking about banking from the situation because, like I said, we're in 2022, and we're going to start seeing all these thousands upon thousands of commercials that I really don't care about voting, vote, get your vote on. I think last year there was some stupid nonsense talking about get your booties to the polls, like somebody was at a strip club and whatnot. I'm supposed to be drinking Hennessy before they go to the polls or some nonsense like that. I was like, what the hell is this? But anyways, what do I know, right? But anyways, after the Civil Rights Movement, Black Americans have made historic progress, obviously overcoming 250 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, and only being legally free for 50 years since the Civil Rights Act was passed. Although the number of black-owned banks has varied over the years, their focus on turning nickels into dollars and putting our money to reap benefits ourselves has never wavered, and still we rise. At the end of the day, I want to go over with One United Bank. If you do not have a bank account with African American Bank, think about looking into one. I'm not giving out financial advice, but all I'm saying is, like I'm gonna keep saying it, who you do your business with, who you spend money with, and who you bank with holds way more power than who you vote for. And I guarantee you'll never hear a politician say that, because that changes the whole conversation of the nonsense and the minutia that they like to put out towards you and whatnot. That's, like I said, that's the adults in the rooms having a conversation, not this make you feel good. That's what music is for. It's supposed to make you feel good. That's what some people want to do drugs, which I'm not a fan of. Some people want to drink. Some people want to go on vacation. Some people want to spend time with their family. Everybody has a stimulant. Some people drink coffee. Some people drink tea. Everybody has a stimulant that makes them feel good and whatnot. But when it comes to business, business knows no color. Business knows no party. Business knows no religion. Business knows no sexual orientation. Business knows dollars and cents. Okay? When people say hit the cash app, it doesn't know any of that other nonsense. It knows dollars and cents. And when you're talking dollars and cents, then to me, you're talking like an adult in the room. I'll just leave it at that, all right? So number one, in the United States, that black banks have been turning nickels into dollars since the 1800s. This is one of the reasons why a person might think of banking black. Imagine if there were never, HBCUs or organizations like, even though they got a lot of issues going on, NAACP, Urban League that fought for civil rights. Similarly, now it's about, imagine if there were no black-owned banks. Black Americans' progress is strengthened by the collective organizations, things of that nature. Now, before I go forward, I'm glad the people that contribute to HBCUs, I'm glad the people that actually go to HBCUs got no problems with that. And yes, historically, in the past and even in today, a lot of black-owned banks were able to give black businesses and black homeowners access to capital. People having their first savings account, checking account, people having access to individual retirement account, many other retirement portfolios, getting access to different insurance, life insurances, whole life insurances, short-term, things of that nature. Because, like I said, the money conversation needs to be just as knowledgeable, especially in the African American community, as it is as sports and entertainment and politics and all that good stuff. Because, like I said, it's always been, and I wasn't the best student in grade school, but I'll say this: when people talk money, my ears always perked up. My favorite rappers coming up was when they were talking about making money moves, a business move. I'm a millennial, so I'm from the era of the Diddy's and the Suge Knights and the Master P's and whatnot, and the Cash Moneys and Damon Dash and Dipsets and people that were talking like as much as Damon Dash can be an a-hole and a jerk. Damon Dash was talking sense when he was talking money. He's like, no, he's like when they were at the top, when Rockefeller was at the top, he's at the top of their music game. He's like, well, this isn't the only thing I want to do in my life. One, and then two, nothing stays the same. And then three, the hustle never stops. And this is a guy that was making millions and millions of dollars a year. So that tells you got people that work on a job that make 30, 40, 50, 60 to $100,000 a year, and they get comfortable real quick. They go to sleep real quick, and in my mindset, they kind of get retired real quick. And you can't do that. In a sense, you're not really supposed to retire unless you look at your bank account. You got millions and millions of dollars, but even then, it can be taken away at a moment's notice. Look at NBA players, look at sports players, look at people in the music industry. A lot of them end up being broke because they don't make money moves while they're still hot in the game, the industries that they're in, and they're not making money moves once they quote unquote retire from that, because you can't be most people are not going to be hot music stars forever. Most people can't play sports forever. So there's always got to be that, okay, what's next mentality. Even most of your working people that make six figures, they're retirees. They got to have a what's next plan, because for the most part, their 401k pensions are not going to do it. If they haven't invested their money in significant other areas and had conversations with financial professionals, then their game is going to be off. It's just what it is. All right, and they're going to have to, unfortunately, be that Walmart greeter or work another full-time job until the day they die. Because I've seen it myself, because they weren't talking. They knew about everything else in the world. And the thing is, the millennial generation and the rest of generations coming up cannot use that excuse that I didn't know. No, we are in the height of the information age. You can know, but the question is, do you want to know, or do you want to just worry about Rihanna having a baby and showing pictures? Because Lord knows, having a baby, that's never happened in the world ever. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic right now. I don't care. It's never been done before. A woman given life. If that wasn't the case, then I wouldn't be. Hey, I embrace the fact that they took pictures and all that great stuff, but I really wish I could see more and more economic photos and videos going viral outside of normal, natural, everyday stuff. It's just as natural as breathing. But it is what it is. I'll probably get some heat for that, but at this moment, I don't care, because Rihanna doesn't pay my bills. Number two, black banks serve black people and various other people too. So I mean, obviously, like anybody in the mom is allowed to go there. It's not just for just for African Americans. But article states in neighborhoods created by discriminatory practices like redlining, black-owned banks are often the only source of reasonable, fair, and non-predatory lending. Black-owned banks deploy resources that uniquely address the needs of black community, like two-day early pay, short-term, small dollar loans, and real estate secure lending in minority communities without baggage of discrimination. And last but not least, U.S. banks do not. Now, this is what the article says. I think I beg to differ. I think in the past they didn't serve the African American community well, but I think in today most banks are, for the most part, fair and impartial. But it says U.S. banks do not serve the black community well. 49% of black households were underbanked or completely unbanked, compared to just 15% of counterpart households in 2019, according to the Federal Reserve. The U.S. Census Bureau's annual survey of entrepreneurs found that black families are rejected for credit as twice at the rate of white applicants and whatnot. And in certain instances, that wouldn't surprise me, but a lot of times, a lot of people, they just don't take, to me, they just don't take the credit as serious as they should, because a lot of people have, I'm not just going to say African American community, but all communities. A lot of people have that credit, get it mindset, and then they wonder why they get turned down for a home loan or a car loan, because they're not the word of the. Because if you watch my channel, I have a word of the day, and really the word of every freaking day needs to be, in some sense, and I'm guilty of this as well, Discipline, 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 discipline. I can't put it any other way. Okay, discipline in what you eat, discipline in what you drink, discipline in what you do on a regular basis. It definitely comes down to it. Discipline. Be disciplined with your family. What it boils down to is discipline with your money and whatnot. And a lot of people are just not good with money. That's just what it is. I've had my moments where I've spent money on nonsense that I'm just like, Lord, that was a stupid transaction, but oh well, I did it. But it's just trying to be disciplined enough to be able to take advantage of opportunities that are out here. There's a lot of opportunities when it comes to credit. You got the cashback rewards. You got the frequent flyer miles. I take advantage of that all the time. Where you actually your money that's a way of your money working for you. I like to travel a lot, so I get flyer miles. I like cashback rewards. I know I'm going to spend money on these certain things, so why not? It's a win-win situation for me. It's a win-win situation for the credit card company, and that's a beautiful thing. And then obviously, if you have decent credit and if you have a business, that you can get access to more credit capital by utilizing business credit. That's another aspect of looking at it, because then you get business credit cards and be able to utilize that for whatever you need. It can intensify your business or it can help you out in an emergency situation. That's the beautiful thing about having credit. That's the beautiful thing about the United States. So these are things to just take into consideration when it comes to and this is the one-on-one aspects. I'm not really going in deep on anything, but these are just things to look at when it comes to your money, because once again, I'm going to end this video off by saying who you spend your money with, who you do business with, who you bank with, holds way more power than who you vote for, right? So do the great three things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. As I always say, make money moves or you are going to live broke like a fool. Take care, family.